God bless. I want to speak about the three missionaries who came to America from Valaam. It's Valaam Monastery, Valaam Monastery in Russia. In the early 1700s, Valaam was at its peak. Jesus' prayer was very high. Laborers, iconographers, builders, bell casters, iconist screen carvers. They had all types of workshops in Valaam, and it was captured on film in 1938 before its destruction in 1942 during the war. But they took photos because the clairvoyant elder had seen it coming, Abbot Chariton, which needed to be for the record. So they posed in all types of departments, fishermen, the gardeners, you name it. But in the late 1700s, at the time, Abbot Nazarius, holy, righteous abbot who sought to bring missionaries to America, and pick three. One was Father Joseph, priest monk. And the second was Father Juvenali, a monk. And then there was young Father Herman, who was just a monk, tonsured monk. Father Herman was sent actually out to the fields, along the grass, and to spend alone time with God in order to prepare for what was to come, according to Abbot Nazarius. And he had him there for a stretched amount of time until he understood the aloneness with God and his prayer and his dedication as a monk to be one sent out to, at that time, Russia, which is Alaska, was sold in 1860 for $50 million. But St. Herman got there in 1794 with Juvenali and Father Joseph. Juvenali was on a boat, and he ended up in Aleutian Island, which was very harsh, and the natives were very, very dangerous, and of course, they killed him. The story is that they saw him get off the boat, he walked on land, started preaching to them about Jesus Christ and the way of life, and they shot him with arrows. He died. He woke from the dead, shot him with arrows again, he died. He rose up from the dead again. The third time, they hacked him up and finished him off. There is your saint, holy martyr Juvenali. Then you had Father Joseph, who came, but ended up going back because he saw the importance of great missionary of God's work to be done. And he was ordained, consecrated a bishop, the first bishop of America, on his way back to Alaska, to begin his great mission and convert and baptize and ordain priests. He never made it. Along the way, the sea was rough and tossing him around, and they drowned. He, therefore, is considered a holy martyr, Saint Joseph. And then there's as he would call himself, lowly Herman, Father Herman, not a priest, but a monk. He landed upon the shores of Aleutian Islands and Kodiak, Spruce Island. There, the natives greeted him wonderfully. He was happy to see they were clothed, but he wasn't to bring so much of his culture to them, but to accept them as they were, and to bring Christianity, to bring orthodoxy. He was extremely successful. His life was filled with miracles, prayer and fasting, lived in an earthen cave. No one knew where that was. He took care of the Aleuts, made them pea pie. They, in return, fed him beans and salmon, and he survived, and he lived, and he spoke with angels, and he conversed with angels, and he was asked, how do you survive out here all alone? He says, God is everywhere present, fills all things. God is everywhere. I have God. And he managed to live a ripe old age. But on his deathbed, it was by God's will that he was prolonged 13 more days. On December 25th, he actually reposed. But before he reposed in 1836, it's recorded by Bishop Peter of Sitka in 1867, that St. Herman himself said, there'll be a long time where the world will forget me, but there will come one like me who will live here all alone, a monk, and will take care of my aludes and will hold vigil. And that is what this video is about. Blessed Archimandrite Gerasim Schmaltz, who came there in the early 1900s. And he was the one that was prophesied that they will come and live there after St. Herman. St. Herman had appeared to him in a vision. And Father Gerasim, Blessed Gerasim, had talked to him just like he would anyone who was alive. And he was very grateful. He said, I'd love to come and return, be here, and that you invited me to be here, to live as a monastic. And he saw in the eyes of St. Herman a love and a simplicity of warmth and a joy in his heart. Actually, St. Herman was ringing Pasco bells in the midst of the summer. It turned out that he was canonized years later, in the 70s, in the midst of the summer. And there was a prophecy. So, Blessed Gerasim Schmaltz's job, just like Matushka Olga, who lived and sewed socks and took care of, she was a midwife and helped those in labor, and she made everyone happy. She gave meals to those who were hungry. Very humble, loving spirit of God, a child of the Lord. And even when she was faced with evil, through humility and love and simplicity and prayer, she overcame it. And she's, God willing, soon to be glorified as a saint. But her job was just to do what she was to do by the will of God and to please God by serving man. Blessed Gerasim, in the same way, was asked and was one to be the guardian of the holy tomb and the relics of St. Herman of Alaska. He would open the doors of the church, and he would bow down before and pray to St. Herman and loved him, protected him, guarded him, spread the word about him, kept a vigil lamp about him. And since that time, the word has gone out throughout the world, and especially in America, and of course, to St. Herman of Alaska Monastery in Placina, California, who put out a wonderful book on Father Gerasim of New Valaam. One must read it. But this holy, righteous man should not be forgotten. Should not be forgotten. He lived alone many years in the desert, prayed and fasted, kept vigil over St. Herman of Alaska. So may you remember him, learn of him, discover him, learn of him, read of his life, and be completely inspired by this man of God, who even Archbishop John of San Francisco, who knew of him and wrote about him. And even when he died, many had written about how what St. John Maximovich reminded us of, that when one who's so righteous, holy, leaves this earth, as it was taught in Russia, something usually off would happen, something not so good, because that prayer of a righteous man held up that goodness, that dignity with God. And when they leave a gap, and we feel the sin that took its place because of their righteous prayers. But there's no one to fill the gap of holy ones who leave us. They all have a job, a particular job of a life pleasing in the Lord, and they are to be remembered, and we are to be inspired to follow in their footsteps, that the Lord will have mercy on our souls. Amen.